Hey there, it's Dr. Deborah. Today in this video, I want to talk about something a little different, brings a couple of different things together. And if you consider yourself some kind of seeker, whether you're on a path to self-knowledge or a healing path or a path to reconcile relationships or whatever, we're usually on a path to some kind of knowledge or truth. From a depth psychology perspective, we would say that we're on a path to our self, capital S, which is aware of our conscious and our unconscious, and that we're looking for sort of moments of wholeness. And that sense of wholeness, our relationship with ourself, is also the bridge to something that transcends us, whether you look at it as transcending your personal life, but looking at yourself in the context of a family unit or a company or a neighborhood or a country, or it could be the bridge to God, the divine, the quantum realm, nature, or in the end, kind of going towards a sense of oneness, a sense of wholeness. So, whether you're using the lens of depth psychology, and Carl Jung is one of the founders of depth psychology, which is the study of the unconscious, or quantum physics, the physics of the invisible, what we can't see, what's at the subatomic level. And interestingly, Carl Jung and Wolfgang Pauli, who is one of the founders of quantum physics, they were pen pals. Or you look at it through the lens of neuroscience or universal spiritual laws. They're sort of all pointing or intersecting at the same place, which is, I would say, this realization of oneness, that we are one. We're not separate from the whole of consciousness. And a sense of oneness is the opposite of scarcity and separation. So if you're into frequency and vibration, the highest frequency is enlightenment, and that's really a knowing of oneness, and under that is peace. So when we have this experience of oneness, it opens us up to, in quantum physics talk, the field of infinite possibilities, the quantum realm. Neuroscience, you would say we can dip into the lower consciousness where we access theta brain waves or delta brain waves, which get us to the same place. And or the spiritual laws of oneness and wholeness, or a moment of redemption and atonement where we're not separate, we're loved and we are love. And that you could also call it a miracle, because what is a miracle? It's something that happens that is invisible, but it takes a sort of faith or a sense of surrender to allow it to happen. This is what accessing the quantum realm is. So I don't know about you, but when The Secret came out, this is a long time ago, maybe 20, oh gosh, 2010 or something, 20, no, 20, 2007. I had a beginner's mindset, and reading the book The Secret totally worked for me. I have two specific examples. One of them was my former husband had just gotten a job and he was going to start, and it was that. And suddenly we had this tax bill, and it was for $8,300. And I had read The Secret, so I'm like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. I'm sure $8,000 will show up. And within a week, my husband got a check in the mail, and it was for almost the exact amount of the tax bill. And it was a signing bonus that he didn't even know was part of the deal of getting this job. And it was like, whoa, this really works. And another example is at the end of the day, in my desk, my home office, I always like to clean it off at the end of the day. So I start fresh. And at the end of the day, I make a list. And so I'm prepared for the next day. Well, on this particular night, at the end of the day, I made this list and it had a lot of items on it. I mean, I don't know, 10 or 15 items. But had a beginner's mindset with The Secret. And I'm like, I don't know. I was walking around saying, I have more than enough time to get it all done. I have more than enough time. It'll all be fine. The next morning when I came down, there were only three things on my list. And I was like, this can't be. I know I wrote a list of 10 items. How could it only be three now? And I didn't really think that much of it, except that it was pretty amazing. So that was many, many, many years ago, almost 15 years ago. And I think what happened is, well, then I had a midlife unraveling. And that'll really, that really took me for a ride. Really, it was very difficult, and I had to build myself up again. And it's been a fantastic journey, but I sort of lost my beginner's mindset. And so, in the meantime, I've gotten back to my practice of how was I able to experience that? And what those things really were accessing the quantum realm. They were really accessing this field of infinite possibilities. And unless you've experienced it, it's really hard to understand. But that's what the quantum realm is, and that's what the spiritual realm is that these are things that we think are impossible because we have a limited perception of what is reality. So, my recent example of collapsing space and time, I just wanted to share that with you. And I really sort of the steps, what was happening and what was coming together. So I've gone from not thinking about it at all and it just happening because I had pure belief to over time sort of losing my beginner's mindset and having to go back to the basics to sort of understand what are the components of this magical moment where something happens that shouldn't be possible. So I had been out writing all day at a coffee shop and I wanted to go right to yoga class. And so I packed my clothes so I could change. And I get to the parking lot of the yoga place and I'm 15 minutes early. So I'm feeling really on top of things. And then I look back in my back seat and my yoga clothes aren't there. And I swear I put them there. Like, have you had that moment where I swear I put my yoga clothes there? And then I was like, okay, well, it's quarter two, 15. I have 15 minutes. I'm definitely, if I run home, I'm going to be late. And then I texted the yoga instructor and I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be late. And I didn't know what she would say. And she said, okay, I'll leave the door unlocked for you. And I was like, okay, I accepted I was going to be late. And I drove home. I ran up the stairs. I put my clothes on, got in the car, drove back. And it was only 6:01. I walked into class. They hadn't even started yet. And I said, I just collapsed space and time. This should not have been possible. So even without traffic, and this was 5:45, it should have taken me at least 10 minutes each way and then to run up and change into my clothes. So really in this version of reality, the five senses, it should have been impossible for me to get back within 16 minutes and then the class having not started. So I guess I journaled and I've reflected about, well, what did I do that I was able to make that happen? Well, the first thing I did is I radically accepted the truth of the situation. Based on my five senses, you know, I if I go to class, if I run back, I come back, it's just I'm going to be late. And then I thought, well, do I want to walk into class late? I don't really want to wreck other people's experience. Okay, I'm going to check. I remembered I had clear thinking because I accepted the truth of the situation. I wasn't emotional about it. I was very accepting of whatever the outcome would be. If I didn't have yoga that day, fine. If I did, that'd be pretty cool. So then, again, without any expectations, I texted the yoga instructor and she was like, yeah, that's okay. I'll just leave the door open for you. And I thought, okay. Then I accepted the fact that, well, it's traffic. It's going to take me time. Typically, I would be upset starting class late because that would wreck the experience for me. And I'm like, no, whatever. I'm going to try to be there. And however long the class is, I accept that. And then I didn't look at the clock and I went home. I was calm. I came up, I put my clothes on, I drove back, and I was like blown away. So, really, what it came down to was number one, accepting the truth of the situation and accepting not having an expectation for an outcome. Did I have a preference? Yes. I preferred to go to yoga class and have the whole yoga class, but I was willing to accept that that might not happen. And that's an example of how then, because I wasn't attached to getting what I wanted, even though I had a desire to get something, I surrendered and released it to the universe to orchestrate it. And that's how I got my deepest desire. Now, how could I practice this at a larger scale? I'm working on that, but I thought it might be helpful to share an example of these little magical moments that you might call miracle, even though that's not a miracle making it to yoga class, but it was pretty mind-blowing actually for me to experience that. So if you're into this sort of thing, I will share more because for me, I need a template. And when somebody can walk through and debrief their own experience, it helps me relate to the concepts more than reading the concepts or listening to somebody talk about them. So I hope that's interesting to you. Please make sure that you subscribe and like and share this episode or this YouTube video. And also subscribe to my website, deborahlukovich.com, so you get lots of free content like this. Take care.